Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be exploring a topic that's gaining traction in Canadian politics. Who could potentially succeed Justin Trudeau as the next Prime Minister? Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't Canada just have an election? And yes, they did. But much like a middle-aged man realizing he actually grow that beard he's always wanted, Justin Trudeau has decided he's ready for a change. That's right. After nearly a decade of poutine diplomacy and expertly coiffed photo ops, Trudeau's decided to step down, leaving some rather sizable shoes to fill. So who's got the charisma, the policies, and, let's be honest, the hair to take on the top job? We've got a veritable smorgasbord of contenders from across the political spectrum, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and probably some deeply embarrassing childhood photos they're hoping never see the light of day. But enough chit-chat. Let's break down the top contenders from various parties. First up, we've got Chrystia Freeland, Canada's current Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister. Now, if this were a game of Canadian political bingo, having Deputy Prime Minister on your resume would be like having a free space right in the middle. Freeland is widely considered Trudeau's right-hand woman, which, let's be honest, in the world of politics, can be both a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, she's been deeply involved in key initiatives and shepherded Canada's economic recovery post-pandemic, no small feat, mind you. On the other hand, being seen as too closely aligned with the outgoing leader can be a liability. It's like inheriting your parents' vintage furniture. Sure, it's got history, but is it really style? Freeland has a reputation for being tough, competent, and maybe even a little bit intimidating. The kind of person who could probably negotiate a trade deal with a grizzly bear while simultaneously knitting a sweater. But will that be enough to win over Canadian voters? Only time will tell. Next, we turn our attention to Mélanie Joly, Canada's current Foreign Affairs Minister. Joly has been making a name for herself on the international stage, known for her, dare I say, rather charming brand of diplomacy. Imagine a political unicorn, someone who can discuss sanctions with Russia one minute, and then effortlessly launch into a passionate defense of maple syrup the next. That's Joly. She's been praised for her handling of international crises, and her ability to build relationships with world leaders, which, in this day and age, is no mean feat. It's like she's playing a high-stakes game of diplomatic chess, and so far she's been playing it rather well. But being a skilled diplomat doesn't automatically translate to being a successful prime minister. It's a whole different ballgame, folks. Running a country is a bit more complicated than negotiating a treaty or two. It's more like trying to herd a bunch of caffeinated squirrels while simultaneously writing a national budget. So, can Joly convince Canadians that her diplomatic skills can translate to domestic success? We shall see. And now, for something completely different, Mark Carney, former governor of both the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England. This is like the Michael Jordan of central banking, folks. He's got the experience, he's got the reputation, and he's got the kind of calm, measured demeanor that makes you think he could probably single-handedly avert a global financial crisis with a single phone call. But here's the thing about Carney. He's never actually held elected office before. He's been the ultimate economic insider, whispering in the ears of the powerful, but can he connect with everyday Canadians? Can he convince them that he's not just some out-of-touch technocrat who only speaks in economic jargon? It remains to be seen. Of course, Carney's potential candidacy also raises the age-old question, can a man who once worked at Goldman Sachs truly understand the plight of the working class? It's a question that has plagued many a politician before him, and one that Carney will undoubtedly need to address if he wants to win over the hearts and minds of Canadian voters. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to enter the Thunderdome of Canadian politics with Pierre Poilievre, the current leader of the Conservative Party. Poilievre is, to put it mildly, a polarizing figure. He's like that friend who's always up for a good debate, even if it means ruining Thanksgiving dinner. He's known for his fiery rhetoric, his staunch conservative views, and his uncanny ability to make headlines, often by, shall we say, leaning into the more, let's call it side of the political spectrum. Poilievre's supporters see him as a straight-talking, no-nonsense leader who's not afraid to challenge the status quo. His detractors, on the other hand, view him as a divisive figure who traffics in populism and fear-mongering. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Poilievre is a force to be reckoned with in Canadian politics. He's like a political hurricane, loud, unpredictable, and capable of causing a lot of damage. The question is, can he channel that energy into a message that resonates with enough Canadians to win him the top job? Or will his more, shall we say, approach to politics ultimately be his undoing? Chapter 5. Leslyn Lewis, the rising star of social conservatism. Now, let's talk about Leslyn Lewis, a rising star in the Conservative Party and a key voice in the social conservative movement. Lewis is a fascinating figure in Canadian politics, a black woman who's pro-life, a devout Christian who's also a lawyer, and a politician who's as comfortable discussing theology as she is discussing tax policy. She's a walking, talking example of how easy it is to defy easy categorization. Lewis represents a growing faction within the Conservative Party, one that emphasizes traditional values, social conservatism, and grassroots engagement. She's a gifted communicator who's able to connect with voters on a personal level, and she's not afraid to speak her mind even when it comes to controversial issues. That's a rare quality in politics, folks. But can Lewis broaden her appeal beyond her base and win over enough Canadians to become Prime Minister? It's a tall order, but then again, so is everything in politics. Chapter 6. Jagmeet Singh, the NDP's hope for change. Next up we have Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the New Democratic Party, NDP. Singh is known for his sharp wit, his stylish wardrobe, seriously, the man knows how to rock a turban, and his unwavering commitment to social justice and economic equality. He's like the cool uncle of Canadian politics, approachable, relatable, and always down for a good time, as long as that good time involves dismantling systemic inequality and fighting for the little guy. Singh's NDP has been steadily gaining popularity in recent years, particularly among young people and working-class Canadians who feel left behind by the traditional parties. He's tapped into a vein of discontent with the status quo, and his message of hope and change has resonated with many. But can he translate that momentum into actual electoral success? The NDP has long been relegated to the sidelines of Canadian politics, often acting as the conscience of Parliament, but rarely holding the reins of power. Can Singh break the mold and lead the NDP to victory? It's a long shot, but hey, stranger things have happened. Chapter 7. Elizabeth May, the Green Queen returns. And finally, we come to Elizabeth May, the former leader of the Green Party and a tireless advocate for climate change action. May is a true iconoclast in Canadian politics, a passionate environmentalist, a fierce debater, and someone who's not afraid to call out hypocrisy wherever she sees it, which, let's be honest, is pretty much everywhere in politics. She's like the political equivalent of that friend who always shows up to the party with a vegan casserole and a list of talking points about renewable energy. You might roll your eyes, but you also secretly admire her commitment. May stepped down as Green Party leader in 2019, but she's remained a vocal presence in Canadian politics, continuing to champion environmental causes and hold the government's feet to the fire on climate change. Now, she's back at the helm of the Green Party, ready to lead the charge for a greener, more sustainable future. But can she convince enough Canadians that the time for incremental change is over, that we need bold, transformative action to avert climate catastrophe? Can she overcome the perception that the Green Party is a single-issue party and convince voters that they have a plan for the economy, healthcare, and all the other pressing issues facing the country? That wraps up our look at potential successors to Justin Trudeau. Who do you think is the most likely candidate to step into the role? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Will it be Freeland, the steady hand at the helm, Joly, the diplomatic dynamo, Carney, the economic savior, maybe? Or could it be one of the challengers like Poilievre, Lewis, Singh, or May, who shakes things up and ushers in a new era of Canadian politics? The race to replace Trudeau is just getting started, and it's going to be a wild ride. So grab your poutine, settle in, and get ready for what promises to be a fascinating chapter in Canadian political history. Because one thing's for sure, with Trudeau stepping down, the political landscape in Canada is about to get a whole lot more interesting. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more political insights. See you in the next video.